why and when did you first decide to start teaching this class?
So actually, I had been on a Fulbright in Australia, and I came back in 1980. And there's a guy who'd been teaching a course just for architecture students, a kind of intro course called Architecture and Society. He named the course, not me. He was tired of teaching it, didn't really want to do it. I'd just come back from a Fulbright. I wanted a new chapter, something new to do. So I said, oh, I'll teach that class. And I started teaching it just architecture students, like 80 students. And then I got to thinking, more people ought to be learning about this than just architecture students. So we opened it up, got a little bigger room. It bumped up to 120. And that was too many for me to handle. I got a TA or two, and it bumped up a little more. And I was still just teaching it one semester a year. And then actually, during the time when I was dean, Bill Cunningham was president, and he was getting a lot of flack about students who couldn't get courses they wanted to be in. And so they had the whole enrollment system, and they were seeing how many hits were there when people were frustrated and they couldn't get in that class. And Architecture and Society popped up as one of the top 10 problems in the university of people trying to get in it and couldn't. So actually he said, you have to teach that class more often. So not his office. I mean, basically they said in these 10 classes, we need to have them taught more often. So just that one time, I taught it in the spring. And then I was dean and I couldn't do it all the time, but we did it just to sort of assuage that problem. But then when I stopped being dean, I thought, I want to do this as much as I can. I want as many students in this class as possible. So then it bumped up to every semester, and now we teach 700 students a year in Architecture and Society. And I wish we could teach 5 times that many. Because everyone needs to take this class. It's important. So it started with this little baby class, and it grew and grew and grew. And now it's my passion. It's what I got class in a couple of hours. That's the best part of my day. And it's just great fun to do it. So doing it more often. And actually it was very interesting. I thought I'd feel like a tape recorder if I did it every semester, and that I get tired of the material. But I don't ever get tired of this material. Every time I see that building pop up, I think, oh, it's like an old friend, I like talking about this. I like looking at this. So it definitely has grown and progressed, and my own involvement in it has just gotten more and more and more intense through the years.
So why do you think it's so important? I mean, why do you bring so much passion to bear on this? Why do you get so riled up?
It's and I know this most intensely from my family, where I have family members who, they don't know anything about architecture. And then if I just turn on my architect self with them, and I start talking to them and showing them, and maybe if we're traveling together, I just see their faces light up. And now it's to the point with my family that they want to go places, they want to look at things, and because it makes their life better, because it's interesting. And then now my brother, who's a freaking lawyer, and a really successful lawyer, he's constantly sending me things he found on the web about architecture. Some architect, we saw a building by him and he's discovered something else. You just realize it makes people's lives better. It just makes their appreciation of the world around them richer. And if I can do that, if I can help with that, that's great. But it also is it's so much fun for me. I just love this subject matter. I love to talk about it. I love to see somebody's face light up and, whoa, that's cool. I didn't realize that.
So aside from passion, how do you feel like you accomplish this? I mean, how do you feel like you get students engaged in thinking and looking about architecture?
So honestly, the enthusiasm I feel for it, I think that's probably contagious. I'm not really even conscious of that so much. I don't make an effort about that. But what I do make a huge effort about is content. What is it people need to know? What is it that will excite people and interest people? What is it they haven't been exposed to before in this subject matter that could make it really interesting to them. And that I get response from students all the time about, actually I got one just the other day who she's an engineer. She's a civil engineer. She's a really, really civil engineer. And we were talking about two-way slabs. I mean, this is a tiny little piece in that course. It's just tiny, but the difference between a one-way slab and a two-way slab. And she's just totally turned on to that because now it makes her life as an engineer more meaningful to her to see, oh, it offers the possibility of bringing light into a room in a different way. Oh, it offers the possibility of much more flexibility in how you can partition rooms. And suddenly all that stuff she studied in engineering, bingo, it's got importance. And I think that happens for a lot of students in a lot of different disciplines. They suddenly see through architecture how what I do makes a difference in the world. It's all abstract, studying that in civil engineering. But once you can see what a two-way slab does to open up a room and a light and change the way people use a space, that's pretty exciting to her. So I think it is the content that is the most important thing. Honing that content so it's relevant makes a difference.